So all of those things we take into consideration, and then being able to then push that out onto SAP systems, so Sales Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and then being able to serve whether it's your internal employees or empowering your end customers to purchase. We want to be able to do that full 360.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the WBS Podcast. I'm Sam Gupta, your host and principal consultant at the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm Elevate IQ. The tech stack of e-commerce has grown so much that you require several middlewares, with middle being different for each of them. Also, the middle keeps shifting as the time advances, and as a result, the architecture changes accordingly. Guided selling has been one area which is hard to pinpoint where it would fit in the architecture, although it plays a crucial role in providing tailored experience for the users who might not know what they are looking for. Also, let's admit that search experience is completely broken with the number of product categories and options available for the consumers, making the experience confusing. In today's episode, our guest, Lamees Butt, discusses the importance of guided search and how that provides cutting-edge digital commerce experience. She also discusses several stories about the Zoovo platform and how that resulted in the commerce experience for B2B companies. Finally, she discusses the difference between several technologies such as PIM, ERP, modern search platforms, and the middlewares. Let me introduce Lamees to you. Lamees is the SVP of Global Alliances and Channels of Zoovo, the world's first all-in-one content discovery and e-commerce engagement platform. Lamees has more than a decade's worth of experience in managing global partnerships and business transformation. Lamees is passionate about improving the buyer experience and efficiently reducing employee workloads. With that, let's get to the conversation. Hey Lamees, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, and I am super excited to have you as well. Always the e-commerce topics are, one of my favorite ones, especially when we talk about these different tools, technologies, how they sort of play together. So that's going to be really fun today. Just to kick things off, if my listeners might not know you, do you want to start with a quick intro and what you are focusing on these days?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Lamees, obviously. I lead our kind of partnerships at a company called Zoovo. I've been with the company, since its infancy. I was number 2 in our UK office and have really seen it go through the growth. And we just recently closed our Series C, so 170 million.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Which really just, it kind of pays dividends really and lends itself to the problem that exists in the market that we're really looking to solve, which I'm excited to kind of get into a little bit later. But yeah, my job is essentially how can we use the sum of our parts with other companies to deliver more value to customers and organizations out there.
Okay, very interesting. So obviously, I want to peel a little bit more layers overall in terms of funding and the valuation as well. I always like to cover your story, but also from the customer perspective, right? But before we do that, we have one of these standard questions that we ask that come on the show, and that is going to be your perspective on business growth. I know e-commerce companies, they are always about growth, right? But from your perspective, what is growth to you?
It's a really good question. And I think that at the moment, and I think about business growth for companies, everybody's thinking about how do I do more with less? How do I, hit the growth targets that are set upon me without being able to hire more people? And so I think that a lot of us are trying to understand what future proofing means for our businesses. And when you think about growth and how that ties into it, it's having that foresight to kind of be 3 to 5 steps ahead wherever you can, and putting your customers at the heart of it. Because I think if you can place your customers at the heart of your business and really deeply understand them, then growth will come naturally. Because, whether it's how your customers like to shop or where they like to shop, if you can channel your customer journey through them, you're going to win and you're going to grow.
Yeah, so my three key takeaways from that particular commentary. So future proofing, big one. I'm probably gonna steal that. I really like that. Okay, and then the foresight, I think you mentioned, and customer at the heart, customer journey. That's definitely critical, especially for slightly more commerce-driven organizations. Now, let's go back to your commentary related to Series C, and I definitely want to touch more on that. Okay, so whenever investors are investing in any company, they are obviously seeing something in the company. Okay. So describe what gap are you filling in the market space overall in terms of if I look at e-commerce right now, there are like a million.
Right.
And it becomes very confusing, for a buyer who is exploring these technologies. So tell us, why do you guys exist, and why are these investors pouring money in your company?
Yeah, of course. I think probably the easiest way to explain it is probably through a story, right? A personal, because quite frankly, I'm a consumer, you're a consumer. We all buy things online. I don't know when the last time you bought something online was, but mine was literally this morning. And the truth of the matter is that, I need to actually put some pictures up in my new room that I'm renovating, and I need to fix some blinds. And you might laugh at me, Sam, but I've never done that before. So this is something that, quite frankly, in terms of a power tool, I don't actually know what I need. And both of us, you're up and you're back to back on your calls. We're busy every day. We don't have time to go into the stores and have those kind of questions with the salesperson in store to get to that right product. And so, when I think about, for example, Bosch, one of our customers, they understand that buying power tools is a really, really complex thing to purchase. When you think about the accessories, the drill parts, and all of those things. So actually, people like me, who is probably in their target market of customers, how can they service me with the best customer experience without having to leave my home? And so they now kind of give me almost like that best salesperson experience on their website. They're asking me, what do I need this drill for? I need to drill it into a wall. What is the wall made of? Is it MDF or is it brick? Really trying to understand the needs so that they can recommend me the right product. And that's just, for power tools. But you can translate that to laptops, to washing machines, to configuring your kitchen with fridge freezers and all of those things. And really the goal of what we do as a company and the problem that we solve is getting customers to the right products that they need online without having to spend hours researching kind of what those products are, and hopefully eradicating the mistakes that are made along the way.
Okay, so very interesting. So I will tell you my personal, preference based on your commentary, right? So you did the transaction in the morning. For me, the most stressful activity, ever, that is going to be spending my money. I just don't like to spend, and that is not the first thing that I want to do in the morning, and I don't know how much you spent. By the way, I spent today as well, I spent $4,500 to book a booth.
What did you buy? Oh, gosh.
To book a booth, at a trade show. But I mean, the morning activity, I cannot afford to spend anything, Don't ask me for any money. Now, going back to your commentary related to, this whole idea of, online experience, the customer experience, and I completely agree with you, And I experience this on a daily basis, to be completely honest, So when I talk to people, I go to trade show, when I'm pitching to people, they just don't like, even though it is going to be the same story, same product, same person, same everything, no difference, But when they listen to this part or content, they just feel slightly more comfortable. I don't know why.
Right.
Why? If I publish the same comment that I am probably going to speak at a trade show, they will probably not like it. Even though, and even with me, to be honest, when I do this myself, if somebody is training me, it's sort of that pressure that is going to be on you that you have to deliver with somebody's expectations, I guess. I don't know how this thing works. Maybe this is psychology that I don't completely understand. But typically, when I am learning at my pace, okay, it's just slightly more comfortable experience. So I completely agree. And that's where I guess the power of e-commerce is, because, once you put all of this online, it becomes slightly more digestible experience that people are going to be researching on their own, as opposed to being imposed these things on them. So I don't know, Missy, if you have any follow-up commentary there based on my comment.
You're completely right. And I think that what's interesting, we've been talking about digital transformation as a notion for years, right?
Yeah.
But digital transformation, if you think about it, really isn't kind of a project. It's almost evergreen. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And I think that digital transformation, we kind of were successful in the first phase, which was let's get everybody onto commerce. Let's get most of us on. And I think that we've got a lot of us onto commerce now. But if you think about it, commerce is just an index of products. It's essentially a library of products. But how do we take that to the next level now in that digital transformation? It's like having a brick and mortar store and having all the products in there, and you've got customers coming in, but no one's guiding them to the right products. So you've got to invest in that moment where you realize I need experienced salespeople to help my customers get to the product that meets their needs. And that's exactly kind of what we're trying to achieve with these organizations on commerce, B2B and B2C. Because the thing is, we spoke about Bosch, which was power tools, and that's it's a consumer product. The same could be said for Dyson. It could be the same said for Microsoft, right? When you want to buy a laptop. But you have to think about it in the context of B2B. You're typically having to call your account manager, sitting on the phone for 90 minutes because there's configurable products, right? It might be medical devices, or it might be electrical components, and these have hundreds of thousands of different combinations based on compliance. How can you eradicate that 90 minutes so that you're not talking about the bill of materials the whole time, but you're developing your relationship? You can still be on the phone to your customer for 90 minutes, but be there for the relationship. How about that customer could build that bill of materials on their own on commerce and then just call you for kind of the other elements? And so you're really using that time to invest in that relationship with your customer, and all of the actual kind of transactional stuff was taken care of through augmentation.
Yeah, so very interesting commentary there. And I love the comment that you made, index of products, okay? And the same thing goes for the index of systems as well, to be honest, because they are also sort of the products. If you look at the digital transformation space, and digital transformation is probably $1 trillion industry, I guess, right now. And people don't understand. I mean, for them, it's always going to be, hey, give me an ERP. And they have no idea ERP is like combination of, 10 different systems and, 5 different programming languages in each of them. It becomes very, very, very complex. So I think customers probably understand the value of e-commerce. Obviously, they don't know how to go from point A to point B. That's where the biggest challenge always is overall in taking that journey, right? And understanding these different technologies, how they are going to fit. So I understand the overall intent, what you are trying to do. But let's say if you were to sort of guide the customers in different things available, and where you sort of fit in your index, in the index of the systems that you have. So overall, your technology that you are bringing to the table, tell us, where does it fit in millions of technologies that are out there inside e-commerce?
So here's the thing. The easiest way that I could explain it is with a middleware.
Okay.
So you kind of imagine, right? You've got back office ERPs, you've got back office PIMs, but those systems, and I'm sure many of your listeners will feel the pain, managing those systems is hard. The maintenance, keeping those systems up to date and clean is hard and can take, and cost millions of dollars in some cases with enterprise organizations. And the beauty of where kind of we sit and where Zoovo can sit is really being able to connect and unify those multiple sources, whether it's multiple ERPs and PIMs, all of the content that you need surrounding your products, and ingesting that into our platform. And the reason that we want to do that is because we want to help unify and enrich that data to humanize it, because once we've been able to do that, we can use it to power discovery conversations on commerce. And so as I say, it's kind of Zoovo's in the middle. You've got back office with the
Yeah.
ERPs and the PIM, Zoovo
Yeah.
in the middle, and then kind of on the front end is the discovery experience.
Yeah, so very interesting. So I'm definitely gonna, peel a little bit more there. And I love the way this term is coined, middleware. Okay. And sometimes, I mean, when you talk to these companies, and obviously, as they have probably hosted, I don't know, and everybody's sort of talking about middleware. And sometimes we don't even know where that middle is, to be honest. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The middle keeps moving.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it becomes funny experience. So here, yes, I understand the intent that you have this ERP, you have this PIM. Yes, from the data structure perspective, they could be slightly more complex. And I think the $1 million comment that you mentioned, companies, regardless of the technology that they are using, if they really want to get business results from technology, they probably need to invest, money, So when we look at the middleware, and I think your place is really more from the content and discovery perspective, and then we have a lot of technologies available in that space as well. Okay, so you are talking about the middleware of the front end experience. That's my understanding. You can correct me if I'm off here. But when you say discovery, and discovery is going to be more from the search and content perspective, we have technologies such as Algolia. I believe they are really in the search space. So if you could touch a little bit, how do you compare with them? And then you have a lot of different CMS platform that's going to be slightly more in the content space. So maybe talk a little bit about, where sort of you guys fit. Are you going to be a replacement for these platforms? Are you going to be complementary? Do you get installed with them? And maybe, if you want to talk about the architecture of this particular story, maybe talk about that. So I'm looking for more insight overall in terms of where you guys sort of fit in the architecture.
Probably the best way to explain it would be through one of our partners, which is actually with SAP. So SAP was the largest tech houses, and we actually became their partner last year in 2022 and became the fastest riser in the SAP. We reached 30%, and the reason that was is obviously we were solving the problem for their 400,000 customers, typically in the B2B space, who have the same problem. Now, SAP have their ERP. They also have Commerce Cloud. And, what we want to do is take all of that source data kind of from the core and be able to bring that into. Now, when we get it into, what we want to do is say, okay, we want to correct any manual errors that exist RP because of localizations. You think about if a country exists in 190 countries, probably they're going to be naming that one product in 190 different ways. So you can't run AI on that. You can't run data on that because you've diluted the product. So Zoovo will correct that and unify it so it understands that actually, that 190 variations is actually associated to that one master. And then we'll, as you say, connect all of the CMS. So let's just say those are kind of technical information on the product. It might be YouTube, let's say, and we want to bring all of that in because once we've got it into the Zoovo system, we can configure an experience. Let's just say the experience is almost like we could call it a digital assistant. So it asks a question. You click through to an answer and you do that kind of back and forth. Perhaps it could also be almost like a WhatsApp chat style experience. Perhaps it might also be a visual configuration. So we have different styles of discovery experience to provide based on kind of the organization that we're working with, because some people know that there needs to be more of a visual experience. If they're a dental manufacturer, they might want to see the mouth to be able to understand, which tooth for that implant is it going in. And so all of those things we take into consideration, and then being able to then push that out onto SAP systems, so Sales Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and then being able to serve whether it's your internal employees or empowering your end customers to purchase. We want to be able to do that full 360. So, as it pertains to kind of others on the market, Zoovo really is kind of that enterprise go-to for discovery when you think about complexity and configuration and where compliance is in play.
Okay, so very interesting. So again, I want to peel a little bit more there. Okay,
Yeah.
so I completely agree with your assessment that you know what, if you are going to do this in ERP, that's probably a terrible idea. ERP systems are not necessarily designed for this. Okay, when you look into the content discovery experience, when you talk about augmenting some of the technical information from YouTube, please, 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 for the love of God, don't put it in ERP. Okay, so. So great. So you guys are, putting this information inside your tool. But the question I'm going to have is, initially when you started this conversation, we were talking about, ERP and PIM, and you are treating even PIM as the backend system. But when I look at, this platform, it's coming across as if, you are sort of replacing PIM. Yes, you are doing a lot more than PIM, but in this architecture, are you still going to have PIM? And are you augmenting the data that PIM is going to have? Because you are going to have the product data at multiple places, right?
Right. Yeah.
As let's say, if I'm wearing my CIO hat or the enterprise architect hat, the more places you have the data, the more nervous I'm going to be. Okay.
Of course. You're absolutely right. And it's something that we've been really, really conscious about, keeping that master data at its core. So, if you say our ERP is our source of truth, it's our heartbeat, that's where we want to keep everything. The beauty of what Zoovo does is it's only supercharging. We're supercharging your current tech stack. And
Okay.
so as it pertains to the PIM and the ERP, we can do a push and pull of that enriched data so that we can ensure that it goes back to the source. And then you can obviously use that for all of the other areas in the business that you need that data.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about supercharging, I guess, right? So maybe dig into the example a little bit more overall in terms of, which data sets are you augmenting and how is it going to work in the real life? I understand the overall intent that you are doing the discovery experiences, you are doing the, WhatsApp-like chat, and for that you need a lot more data than what is going to be available in ERP. And I completely agree that, you should not be keeping this data inside your ERP. We completely agree, right? Even PIM is probably going to be harder. And I don't even know, do you really need PIM in your architecture? Or can you guys act as the PIM? I mean, why do you need PIM when you have your own data model and you are probably doing the front-end experience for the product? So why do you need PIM in your architecture then?
It's a good question. I think that, by and large, a lot of the enterprise organizations that we're working with have, well-established PIMs.
Okay.
We can store the product in too. We can do that, but ultimately, as a business and our model, we're choosing not to, because we completely understand that the architecture that currently exists, has probably been there for many years. And as you say, as part of this digital transformation, whether they choose in 5 years' time makes sense because they've seen value in what the Zoovo platform has provided, to say, actually, we're now going to have ERP in Zoovo, and that's great. That's something that we would never push, but it would be a transformational piece of work further down the line, and it would be completely up to the organization if they wanted to do that. The option is there, but it's not pushed because, as I say, this is a journey of transformation, and it can't just be kind of this waterfall approach. It really has to be agile. So when we think about the PIM and in terms of the data that is needed, right? You mentioned something before that I wanted to touch on, because I thought was really, really quite important. So the truth of the matter is that search is broken. If you search right now and you look for black guitar owned by Ed Sheeran, or you type in black guitar Ed Sheeran, what that will return to you is probably guitars, maybe some black guitars and pictures of Ed Sheeran. It won't show you the black guitar that's owned by Ed Sheeran because it doesn't understand the context.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is adding that context to the almost basic black and white product data that exists, and really almost turning it into that human conversation, because you and I understand that context because we're humans.
Yeah.
But that's what we're training the system to do and understand.
Okay, so very interesting. So now we are more in the search bucket, okay? And I always like to have my buckets, okay? And, I don't like my buckets to be touching, a lot of systems, okay? So my personal preference overall from the architecture perspective, okay, let's design these buckets and let's design the handshake, okay? So if I'm trying to draw a diagram of different systems and their handshakes, I don't want too much going back and forth, okay? I want very clear boundaries of the systems and very clear handshake in terms of who's talking to whom and what is going to be sort of their boundaries in the architecture. So here now we are more in the search bucket, right? Which is great. I like it, and I completely agree with you that search is broken. Yes, it is broken. Okay, but that's where platforms such as your Algolia, they are trying to fix that. And I don't know if you are going to be supercharging them as well. Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit more. How do you compare with them? And
So I think that, in terms of the way the competitive landscape, what we've seen is that really, when you're looking to help your customers from a discovery or a search perspective, the platform that we have, as I said, kind of delivers a series of different experiences. And it's really it goes back to actually what we said in the very, very beginning when you think about business growth. If you put your customers at the heart of your business and you understand how they like to navigate your site. So, for example, yes, we know when customers land on a website, the first place they go is the search bar.
Yeah.
And so if we can ultimately already, as they're typing in what they're looking for, start to understand by the first word that as they're typing in power tool, we can already start to activate okay, we understand you're looking for a power tool. Are you going to be using this for drilling holes in the walls, putting together an art project, or, is it construction? And so based on that, we can already start driving the customer to the product that they need instantly without them having to search and then kind of have an array of products that might not actually meet their needs. And a lot of what we're seeing at the moment, especially with others, is around merchandising and offering recommendations based on previous searches. What we're not seeing is guided selling, and that is what Zoovo does. And guided selling in the form of search, in the form of visual configuration, and in the form of kind of chat, digital assistant. So it's seeing it kind of through a different lens with that guidance.
Okay, so very interesting. So just to be clear in this commentary, so obviously I completely agree again that search is broken, the search experience is broken. Even if I search on Google, and by the way, I think Google is trying to fix as well, especially, with ChatGPT, to be honest, okay? Yes. Just because I guess, Bing is trying to sort of, they kind of have an edge right now. I don't know whether who's going to beat the ChatGPT game, but the future, everybody is sort of realizing that it's probably going to be conversational. It's going to be slightly more guided selling or guided search. I don't know. Yeah. It's probably not going to be the same search experience that we have as of today. That I completely. So here, let's say if I compare, and I think, you are probably in search bucket, and the best comparison for you is going to be the newer search technologies. And the reason for that is because even they are trying to attack the same problem. They are trying to claim that, search is broken. That's why with us, you have slightly superior search. But even with that superior search, they are still going to have the same experience that people get on Google, where you are going to, find a bunch of products, and then you have to, in your case, you are trying to recommend as opposed to showing them 200 different options. Hey, browse through it and click. In your case, it's going to be a guided selling that maybe, I don't know. I mean, you did mention that a bunch of questions, a bunch of the interactions that the user is doing. And then you are saying, this is what I feel you should be buying, as opposed to showing 200 different choices. So let's say if I'm the customer, so am I buying both of these technologies and using them together, or am I buying just one? What would be your recommendation?
It's a very good question. And actually, this is why kind of our SAP partnership is so great, because actually it's the sum of our parts that make us what we call better together. Yeah. And so if you think about kind of the back office, SAP, ERPs, it already exists in a number of the customers that we have, but also the front office Commerce Cloud instances. And then you add on Zoovo to that as kind of the layer to really accelerate and take the experience to the next level. Actually, it's the sum of our parts that are. So typically what you would be looking at, and a lot of our customers either have SAP as their commerce platform and Zoovo, or they have Salesforce Commerce Cloud and Zoovo. Some are commerce tools. The beauty is we're agnostic. So we really do integrate into any e-commerce platform with kind of that light integration. So it is kind of that plug and play experience that allows you in this composable commerce era to be agile and to be able to pivot and make decisions. And I think most importantly, be able to kind of own that trajectory of your growth, which when you think about future proofing, is super.
Yeah, so I can understand in this architecture, when you are saying, I have my SAP Commerce Cloud, and obviously the search that is going to be native to SAP Commerce or even Salesforce Commerce, it's probably not going to be as great. Commerce tools, obviously, they are trying to commercialize the idea of the more composability you have, the better, especially from the search and discovery perspective, and that makes sense, okay? Overall, from the customer experience perspective.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, in these scenarios, are they also using something like Algolia? And I know I keep bringing back, to that point, and I don't know. And again, what I am trying to get from this conversation is that, are you guys going to be replacement or are you guys going to be sitting together? And that's completely okay. I think customers need both, because they are trying to attack one problem, then you are doing the guided selling. And the more options that you have for the customers, because each customer is going to have their own preferences. Some people like recommendations. Some people don't like recommendations. Some people like, give me an option. Don't tell me what I need to buy.
Yeah.
So how do you see, in your experience when customers are using this, are they simply replacing? Look, you guys are definitely the replacement for the SAP default search, okay? Because obviously their search is not going to be as great. I get it, okay? The Salesforce Commerce Cloud is also, but there are better search platforms right now. Customers could use that. Customers could use you.
Yeah.
So you tell us, how do you see this playing along, let's say in the long term, when customers understand both of these technologies, their pros and cons? So do you see them using them together, or are you definitely a replacement for the newer search platforms that we have in the market?
I would say that we're working together. And what I would also say is that, what we're really looking to support with and really help navigate is this concept of a connectedness.
Okay.
What we don't want to be doing is exactly what you kind of explained there, forcing customers down a path that actually they don't want to go down. Some customers don't want to be guided. Some customers really understand, I'm here for a purpose. I know what I need. I don't need any education. It's like as well, you go into the store. I know which laptop I'm going for. I don't need, the salesperson to come and try and help me with the RAM and the CPU. I don't need it. I know I'm pretty advanced. But actually, some people really do need that support. And so it's about understanding, based on that customer persona, which is the right experience to give them at that moment in time. And so we don't want to force customers down that path. And so what we're really careful in doing is placement, understanding where and at what part of the journey should we be launching these discovery experiences for customers? Because yes, search bar is an obvious one. Customers go there because there's intent. They're looking for something. So let's help them along the way and streamline that journey. But also, if I've then gone to a category page and I'm searching for, let's just say, a washing machine, there might be a customer where their washing machine has been broken. They've never had to buy a washing machine before, but they've got no idea what drum size they need. They've got no idea of the technical specifications that are listed on that commerce website. So imagine that there was a world where actually you could look at a washing machine. Not only could it, you'd be asked the questions, what's your family size? I've got a family of 4. Is it going to be in a utility room, or is it going to be part of the kitchen unit that you have? I'm asking the questions without you having to know what the technical specifications are for that product. And some customers really like that. So we want to be able to create an experience where you may be then recommended the product, but let's just say you want to take it that one step further and you want to be able to say, this is a huge purchase, like you this morning. Obviously it was something very different. You're spending $4,500. You want to feel it. You want to see it in person. You may have recommended it to me in the space of 5 minutes, and that's great, but I still am parting with a lot of cash. And so if there's a way that I can see this product in person, great. So we could create a QR code and we could surface the current local store to you that has that product in stock that you could then go and visit. And that's really creating that kind of connected customer experience, bridging that gap between online and offline. And so we know that, brick and mortar stores saw a decline obviously through COVID, but they're not completely going away. They'll definitely become more experiential. But how do we use them in creating that connected experience? to have a better relationship with our customers.
I like it. I like it, to be honest. Okay. And when we were sort of digging into this whole search bucket, I don't think that's fair to you because you guys are far more than just the sort of the subjects. Guided selling is probably the right category that you mentioned, but in that as well. So you are search plus CPQ plus configurator plus compliance a little bit as well, right? So I think that's very, very, very interesting the way, and I don't know, because the CPQ is probably going to be part of your SAP Commerce Cloud as well. So I don't know how customer use that. I mean, are they not going to use from SAP Customer Cloud? Are they going to use simply yours? And then you did mention that bill of material, especially when you are talking about complex equipments, right? And, I know that there are platforms out there. What they can do is they can explode the whole BOM. Okay. And when you are looking for a part, then you need to know which part they are looking for inside the product. I don't know whether you guys can do that or not. I mean, there are like 2 or 3 platforms in the market right now that can do this in exploding the live BOM, on the page and then telling them, okay, this is the part that you are looking for. And then you are talking about taking it to the next level, which is the QR code. Now, QR code you take to the store and then you are doing the connected experience, which is interesting, okay? Because at the store, they are going to have a POS. The POS is not going to be connected with the backend. So how do you create that omni-channel experience? So maybe touch a little bit more in terms of the architecture, how customers are using it, how QR code is being used at a store. Do they need to have another terminal there to be able to use Zoovo? Because Zoovo is not going to be connected with the POS data. So tell us a little bit more about how that's going to work.
They definitely do need to have terminals in store, and those terminals, based on that QR code, can pull up your recommendation and obviously the product, kind of where it's located in the store. And then if, say, for example, somebody is looking at that product at that moment in time, or it's tied up, or I don't know, it may have gone away for servicing, whatever the situation is, it will recommend the next best product we look at. And so the data still sits within the Zoovo platform as it pertains to kind of the conversational and behavioral data. And what we want to be able to do is plug that into wherever your marketing mix, or your CDP. So wherever you're using that data to aggregate from an e-commerce perspective, we can capture that data to understand that this customer specifically, or this group specifically, quite like to go in store. And perhaps it's because there's a store local to them and it's a large one and it's a flagship. So you can start to understand that flagship local to that group of customers is really beneficial, and it could actually potentially help them create, more buzz around and more validation around funding to make that store more experiential, based on the experience that they know their customers are having, versus customers who live really far away from the closest retailer or the closest branded store, and they're not actually going to go. They just prefer to buy it online and get it to their door, and if they wanted to return it, then they can go ahead and take that route.
Okay, amazing. So I think we have been talking for more than 30 minutes. Do you have anything, I know this is intense back and forth. It always gets very intense, on this podcast. That's how we are known, I guess. Do you have anything that you wanted to cover that you could not cover as part of the episode?
No, do you know what? I think for me, this was such an interesting conversation to have. And I think it was really because as we moved, as you said, to that next phase of what digital transformation is, what discovery as a category is going to be, and what search currently is, and kind of that next generation of search, it was really important to be able to kind of hopefully give your users just a bit of insight into some of the work that we're doing. I really look forward to kind of the next few years of this transformation. As you said, everybody's moving really fast. ChatGPT has changed the game, and I've got some predictions of what I think could
tell us. Come on.
I think that, I don't know if you caught kind of Google's release at their summit, and the work that they're doing around Google Shopping is phenomenal, but they're understanding that, the social aspect of things, and we're now only talking B2C,
so
right?
Tell listeners, what is that? I mean, they might not be familiar with that. Just break it down, what they are working on in terms of shopping.
So Google Shopping, obviously, like any kind of almost marketplace, as it were, that hosts products from, it could be anything, consumer products to whatever it is, or Google has the data to surface. They understand, though, that people are now no longer going to Google for these things. They, you know, in a B2C world are going to social, they're going to TikTok, they're going to Instagram, because actually you can now not only purchase on there, but you are discovering things and you're getting social validation from the community on whether these products are actually good, how can I use them? And if you understand kind of, as I say, how to tap into your customer base and what would tick, I think Google are realizing that the social industry and the social networking industry really do have something. They've moved very fast in capturing the attention, the addiction of what is social media, and capitalizing on that to turn it into a customer journey for commerce. And, you know, I think Google is very, very quickly, speeding behind them. They've got the resources to do it, and it's fantastic. But it's something that, you know, even us as a company, we're really excited to see, because it's supercharging and it's pushing and accelerating that concept of the discovery category and the search category to the next.
Yeah, could not agree more. And great prediction, by the way. I love it. Okay, do you have any last minute closing advice for our listeners before we?
I would just say that, you know, as we spoke about future proofing, it's something that, you know, you've got to see whether your business is large or small. See your business as almost like a chessboard, and you've kind of really got to be 3 to 5 steps ahead of the game. And, you know, speak to people, learn from other people's mistakes to really help you make the decisions in your business. But really, it goes back to the first thing I said, which is just keeping your customers at the heart of everything that you do as a company, and you'll only see growth if you follow that trend.
Okay, amazing. And my personal takeaway from this conversation is going to be, I'm simply going to steal whatever you mentioned, to be honest, okay? See your business as a chessboard. Because strategy is what is going to define whether you are going to get business results from your digital transformation initiatives or not. Don't get disappointed just because one product did not work out. Keep trying. It's a journey. It takes time to get the hang of it. But if you don't do it, you are probably going to be. On that note, thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed this episode.
Thanks so much, Sam. Take care.
You too. I cannot thank our guests enough for coming on the show, for sharing their knowledge and journey. I always pick up learnings from our guests, and hopefully you learned something new today. If you'd like to learn more about Lameez, head over to zoovo.com. It's ZOOVU.com. Links and more information will also be available in the show notes. Also, don't forget to subscribe and spread the word among folks with similar backgrounds. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please review and rate us on your favorite podcasting platform or DM me on any social channels. I'll try my best to respond personally and make sure you get help. Thank you, and I hope to get you on the next episode of the WBS Podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.